Good afternoon, dear students. Previous session, I learned about cattle, horses, and even the significance of the chariots during Vedic period. So, today class we are going to discuss about some of the words which were used in the Rig Veda to describe the people. To describe the people. See, there are several ways of describing people. So, in terms of the work they do. So, how no? So, it was depend upon their occupation or their work. So, based on their work, the people they were described. See, whatever the language they speak, the place they belongs to, and their family, and even their communities and cultural practices. See, about all these, so there were some of the words were found in the Rig Veda. So especially the language, whatever they were spoke, the place they belonged to, their family and their communities also, and their cultural practices also. Now let us discuss about some of the words used to describe the people which were found in the Rig Veda. So there are two groups who are described in terms of their work. There were two groups, the priests. So the first, the priests. See, the priests, so they were also called Brahmins. They are also called Brahmins. See, we know the work of these priest class people or the Brahmins. Even till today also, the most of the Brahmins, so they were associated with to perform the religious rituals. Even since the beginning, and even during the Vedic period also. So, in that main, so the priests and sometimes these priests they were called also Brahmins. So, who performed various rituals and the rajas. So they were performed, of course, in every kingdom, every the ruler or administrator. So they were go through with the help of these priest class people. So this one thing that is about the priests and then or those were called as the Brahmins and the Rajas. So these were the main two groups which were described in terms of their work in Rig Veda. See, these Rajas were not like the ones you will be learning about later. That means, so whatever we are learning in the present or in the current and in the meaning, okay, Raja means he was a king, he was the great ruler, he was having his own kingdom, not like that in that. So they did not have any capital cities. So during the Vedic period, especially during the Rigvedic period, those were mentioned as Raja. They do not have capital cities or palace or armies. They do not have. So according to our knowledge, Raja means so there was a kingdom, there was a capital city, there was a palaces, and even there was the army, and even the Rajas used to collect so many taxes. And also, we know that generally sons did not automatically see here. Uh, it is like hereditary continuously the post, that is a transfer to one and to another. But here, generally, sons did not automatically succeed fathers as Rajas. During Rigvedic period, so sons did not automatically succeed fathers as Rajas. After, suppose if the father may Raja and the son he was not considered as a Raja, automatically was actually did not succeeded fathers as rajas. Okay. See, two words were used to describe the people or the community as a whole. So it is about the two important words, that is about the priests or Brahmins and the rajas. And there are two words were used to describe the people or the community as a whole. So one was the word Jana. So it is one of the word Jana. See, which we still use in Hindi and other languages. Jana antandre, so common agi makla Janaru, people, the people. ಜನರು ಜನತೆ ಮಂದಿ ಈ ಅರ್ಥದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್. ದ ಅದರ್ ವಾಸ್ ವೇವ್ಸ್. ಸಿ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಜನರು ಅಂದಾಗ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ, ದ ಹೋಲ್. ಯಾರೋ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಜನರು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಶೋಸ್ ದಟ್ ದ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಹೋಲ್. ಅಂಡ್ ದೇವರ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ವಿಶ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಜನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರಲ್ಲ ಇಬ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಇಡೀ ಸಮೂಹ, ಇಡೀ ಸಮುದಾಯ, ಇಡೀ ಸಮಾಜ, ಇಡೀ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿಯನ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. See, which we still use even in Hindi, even in so many other languages, even in our Kannada also, ಜನರು ಅಥವಾ ಜನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಅದು ಸಮುದಾಯ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಸಮೂಹ, ಒಂದು ಗುಂಪು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಮಕ್ಕಳ. ದ ಅದರ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವಿಶ್. See, the word Vaishya comes from wish. The word Vaishya is there, no? So the word Vaishya comes from this wish only. So understood now? Wish, it is actually comes from the word Vaishya, which we are going to learn about this in the 5th chapter of this text. So dear students, several wish or jana so are mentioned by name also. So we find a reference to the puru jana or wish. Puru jana or wish. See, the Bharata jana or wish, the Edu jana or wish, and so on and so forth. So that shows that the entire community, the entire society, Bharata jana or Yedujana. So that's the particular community as a whole. The particular community as a whole. Getting these students. So even though we are using the same or Yedujana or Ijana or Ajana, so by mentioning as a whole the entire samudaya or what we call the community or society. So example, Purujana or wish, Bharata Jana or wish, or Edu Jana or wish, and so on and so on. There are so many in this. Even by this time also, this we can observe. See, sometimes, dear students, the people who composed the hymns described themselves as Aryas. Please keep in your mind. So those who are composed hymns, those who are hymns, so themselves they were described as Aryas. Themselves they were described as Aryas, and they were called their opponents. Their opponents. as dasas or dasi. So they were called their opponents dasas or dasyus. Getting dear students. See here, these were people who did not perform sacrifices. Who are known? These dasas or dasyus. So actually, they were opponents of the Aryas. Aryas, they were performed religious rituals and they were performed sacrifices. But here, their opponents, dasas, so they were not performed any kind of sacrifices. And actually, they were opponents of the Aryas, and these opponents of these those who are did not perform sacrifices. So those community people they were called by these those who are performed, those who are described themselves Aryas. So they were called these people as dasas. Getting now. And also, dear students, probably, so these dasas or dasyus, those who are did not perform any kind of religious rituals and sacrifices. So those who are actually spoke different languages also, where they were spoke the Sanskrit language, the Aryas. So here these people, so they were spoke different languages. Later, the term dasa and the feminine, so dasi is the feminine word. So came to mean as slaves. Dasa, dasi, later this actually came to know as slave. Got it now? So dasa or dasi came to mean slave. See, slaves were women and men. So who were often captured in war. Especially these dasa or dasis are those who are called as slaves. So they were captured in war and they were treated as the property of their owners. So those slaves or those who are captured in war, those people they were treated as the property of their owners. So we could make them do whatever work they want. So the owners of these dasa or dasis, so they could make those dasa dasis to do whatever work they required or they wanted. So while the Rig Veda was being composed in the northwest of the subcontinent, there were other development elsewhere. So let us discuss some of the developments while the Rig Veda was being composed in the northwest of the subcontinent. So we'll see that please, if you have textbook, please try to open your textbook and then please go through that. So there were some pictures given in your textbook, page number 14, and you can refer those pictures where the illustrations are can. See, these stone boulders are known as megaliths. So already we all of you studied and knows that megalith means literally big stones. And these were carefully arranged by people. So these big stones were carefully arranged by the people and were used to mark burial sites. So to mark burial sites, they were used these big stones. The practice of erecting megaliths began about 3000 years ago. So, the erecting megaliths, the practice of erecting megaliths, so it was began about 3000 years ago, and it was prevalent throughout the Deccan and South India. So, even in the northeast and Kashmir also. So, please, you see that the picture which was given in the page number 40 of your textbook. So some of the important megalithic sites are shown that you can observe in the map too, which already we are observed in the page number 13 map. So while some megaliths can be seen on the surface, other megalithic burials are often underground. See there we can observe the two types of burial. So some of the megaliths can be seen on the surface, and other megalithic burials are often underground. And also sometimes archaeologists find a circle of stone boulders, a circle of stone boulders, or a single large stone standing on the ground, standing in the ground. So these are the only indications that there are burials beneath. Of course, dear students, even till today, this practice we are continued. We can see even ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ತೀರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಸಮಾಧಿ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಗುರುತು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಒಂದು ಎತ್ತರವಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಕಲ್ಲನ್ನ ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನ ನೆಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಥವಾ ಅದನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಅದು ಏನ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮಾಧಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಂಗತಿ ತಿಳಿದು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ nowadays we all of knows that instead of using stone, ಸೊ ಸಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಗೋರಿ ಏನಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡುವಂತದ್ದನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕಲ್ಲುಗಳನ್ನ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ವಿಶಾಲವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮೈದಾನದಲ್ಲಿ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಬರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಬಿನೀತ್, ಅದ್ರ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮಾಧಿಗಳು, ಅದು ಸಮಾಧಿಯನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಈ ನಡುವೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕಲ್ಲು ನೆಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಹೆಸರು ಎಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಸ್ಡ್ ಈವನ್ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಸಿ all these burials have some common features. All these burials, so generally the dead were buried with distinctive pots. So ಸುಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯ ಸಹ ಇತ್ತು, which are called black and red ware. So they were used, the dead were buried with distinctive pots which are called black and red ware. So also found there were so many tools and weapons of iron, and sometimes even the skeletons of horses and horse equipment and ornaments of stone and gold also. So they were, so during the time maybe they were kept all these iron equipments. Already it was found in the so many megalithic burials. Understood now? So these were actually some of the common features. Especially the dead were buried with the distinctive pots which are called a black and a red ware, and also there were tools and weapons of iron, and sometimes skeletons of horses and horse equipments, and also ornaments of stone and gold. So they were used to keep with the body, all those things. So ಬಹುಶಃ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದೇನೋ, ನಾವು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದು ಉಪಯೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ, ಅಥವಾ ಮುಂದಿನ ಜನ್ಮಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ನಂತರ ಸಹ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ದಿನನಿತ್ಯ ಬಳಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಸ್ತುಗಳಾಗ್ಬೋದು, ಆರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಸ್. ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಸ್ ಎಕ್ವಿಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಇವೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಸಹ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಿಯ ಜೊತೆ ಇಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಸಂಗತಿಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ಮೆಗಾಲಿಥಿಕ್ ಬರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ನ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ತಿಳಿದು ಬರುತ್ತದೆ. Now let us discuss about social differences. Social differences. So dear students, regarding these burial sites, so there is a lot of similarities of what we are practicing even the present day and what they were practiced in the Vedic period. So especially in Hindu religion, so the same practice still continued until the people, those who are belongs to different communities, they are following the same also. Maybe you came to know that. Now let us discuss about social differences. Social See, archaeologists think that objects found with the skeleton probably belong to the dead person, of course. And sometimes more objects are found in one grave than in another. For example, you can see page number 13 map in the Brahmagiri. Here, one skeleton was buried with 33 gold beads and 2 stone beads, 4 copper bangles, and 1 conch shell. Getting now? So please, you can observe that. So, which is in the present southern part of India, especially in Karnataka, the Brahmagiri, that you can observe in the page number 13, map 2. So, here one skeleton was buried with 33 gold beads, 2 stone beads, 4 copper bangles, and 1 conch shell. And other skeletons have only a few pots. Other skeletons have only a few pots. So these finds suggest that there was some difference in status amongst the people who were buried. So it may depend upon their status. Because all those the precious things found by the archaeologist in those sites means maybe their status, it may hide. And in some of the burial sites, archaeologists find that only the few pots, maybe those who are economically, socially lagging behind or backward, or compared to those people, they may less prosperous in the society. So that shows that the difference between in that skeleton and this skeleton, maybe they were belongs to different category. Understood no? So it is a very clear that some were rich, others poor, and some chiefs and others followers. Got it, dear students? So some were rich and others poor, some chiefs and others followers. Now, the next class we are going to discuss about some burial spot meant for certain families. Regarding this, we are going to discuss in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.